Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and honor to welcome you to BlizzCon. We got 2 days. It is the last 2 days of the HGC Finals here for 2018. My name is Kevin, and it is my privilege to welcome you and escort you through the events of these next 2 days. We had an incredible opening week where we took the top 12 teams, trimmed them down to the top 8, and we seeded them across the championship bracket that you will see this weekend. And here, here is where it all heats up, because even a single match loss by one team is gonna send them packing. That's right, single elimination all the way until the end. It's gonna be amazing, and I tell you what, we will crown a champion this weekend. Will it be the dominance out of Korea that we've seen all year long? The best in the East? Or will it be the teams from the West? Those hungry, driven, passionate teams from the West. I know we got fans out there. I know we do. So, stick around. You're not gonna wanna miss a bit of this action. If you're in the house with us, get your cheerfuls ready. Prepare your thunder sticks. It's gonna be awesome. If you're watching from home, thank you for spending your BlizzCon weekend with us. You are not gonna be disappointed. Here to take you through all the action, to set up today's matches, is the talented JC Gilliby-Gluck and our team of analysts and commentators. Over to the desk.
Over the course of opening week, 12 teams became 8. 3 Korean, 2 European, 2 North American, and the one from China. This is the HGC Finals. I am Gillyweed, and I'm thrilled to be here with 3 of my very best friends, Tetcher, Wolf, and Skimmy, to get this ball rolling into BlizzCon. And Tetcher, let's start off right off the bat. Against all odds, China has made it to BlizzCon.
China has made it to BlizzCon for the first time in so long. They have never made it to an actual playoffs bracket stage. They have only been knocked out in groups. The only time a Chinese team has even played at BlizzCon in Heroes of the Storm was back in the day, Zero Panda, back in 2016, with a familiar name. Melody C was on that roster. He is substituting in this tournament as Lies for the one, so we've got some experience there.
Yeah, and talk about experience. All of the Korean teams making it through. We thought that they would, Wolf, but teams like the one really bringing it and making it hard for one of those teams to make it here.
It's been a tough finals for Tempest. You know, last year they weren't even able to make it to the stage. They were eliminated by Roll20, the North American team. That's the first time that happened since Cloud9 beat TK in 2015. But they made it through the group. It wasn't without struggles, however, and of the 3 Korean teams we do see make this finals, Tempest is the one that has the biggest holes in their play thus far. So I hope that during the downtime between group stages, they've been able to take a look at what the West is doing, some of the more unique compositions we don't see in Korea, and kind of fill those holes.
And we knew that Group B was the group of death. That's the one European team that wasn't able to make it. Though Skimmy, the 2 EU teams we have here, they look good.
Yeah, I think for the European teams going into the HGC Finals, this is a very big emotional roller coaster right now. You got Dignitas with JPL soon to retire after this one, his last chance to try and crown himself a BlizzCon champion, get some silverware to really bow out gracefully. It's going to be a fantastic choice for them based on the fact that they did so well at the mid-season brawl. But on the flip side of that, Team Liquid really are that dark horse from Europe. They've had such a interesting year that's all being pieced together right now with Arcana, you know, coming into that role, really showing that, you know, the dream is alive. You can come from humble beginnings and now become a top-tier player. And they have taken a game of Gen.G so far in this group. And Hasuobs, you know, a legend in the series, a legend in the grand scheme of things for Blizzard Games. His very first BlizzCon, so a lot of emotions for the European teams.
And a lot of emotions for our crowd, no doubt, because both NA teams made it through. And I know we got some NA fans back behind me. But to make it to the next round farther than they made it last year, they gotta go through those European teams, and that's gonna be quite the challenge. We are in the top 8, the 8 best Heroes of the Storm teams in the world, so we're starting to get in the big money. All the way up to the $500,000 first place prize, half of the $1 million total prize pool. And gentlemen, this question's for any of you. Can we confidently say that there is any true contender beyond Gen.G and Team Dignitas?
There is a chance that someone can sneak through. I know we've actually been talking a lot behind the scenes about Heroes Hearth, for example, maybe sneaking it through if they're able to get a good first round. But also, we have to talk a little bit about Miracle. During the group stage, they performed so well.
Yeah, they only ended up falling to Gen.G in the end. They were able to do what they weren't able to do in league play in Phase 2 and actually take that victory over, you know, Gen.G was able to take that victory over them, whereas Tempest, or excuse me, Miracle had controlled it throughout the entire part of Phase 2. but they looked really clean in groups, so they were able to deal with all the different strategies that were thrown at them. I think they come in as big favorites on their side of the bracket against Tempest.
Well, there was a lot of action that took place in the group stage in opening week, but if you missed any, don't worry, here's a little refresher for you.
Miracle, they don't care about that keep. They care about the core.
They want those 3 points here. Their first series at a BlizzCon.
It's a good start for Gen.G. They didn't have to show anything. They won convincingly, and they did so with a very measured approach.
This core is the next objective, and they're going for it.
They go for the AP, and they get him. Down he goes, and TheOne is about to take game number 1 in the series here.
Leftovers right now is certainly hurting. They have only got 1 win this entire week.
Team Liquid sieging up behind that. Oh, here we go. There's going to be the toss back. The taunt in is going to be their Sport. Billy does enough to distract us. The DK has taken this down as Team Liquid will take this series 2-0 against Tempo Storm.
Not going to be able to find too much. Their slam jumps down. Hugo is low, but it's not going to matter. TheOne get the 2-0, and more importantly, really showcase that China are here to party at BlizzCon.
The catapults have already done some damage, so Miracle will move forward, and they have taken this series 2-0. Judy just is terrifying.
Yeah, get him off that game.
So good.
Look at Wubby.
He says
Wubby is saying there is no way the slug gets the channel. There's the dance. Celia with the moves.
It's always that big Gen.G, you know, that's the final boss. But I think, you know, we're in a position as a team where we feel very confident that we can take anybody, and you know that's kind of what I meant by realistic ambition. Is we can look at the trophy and be like, that could be ours this year.
This is a classic draft for Heroes Hearth. The old Hanzo with the explosive arrow.
Very successful, and as I said, again, Growing, it does that chain differently as we see the Dragon Arrow two-man combo come through. High trying to survive, but the Jet Propulsion removes 2 of Tempest members, and with that, this is going to be Heroes Hearth Esports taking down Tempest 2-0.
And that means Heroes Hearth will be guaranteed 2nd seed moving out of their group.
I think Miracle has it. I've been rumoring in the back that I wonder if Miracle is suddenly this dark horse of this tournament.
That is a dead Judy. This is exactly what we talked about from the beginning. There's the sleep. There's no way out. Rich with a big silence. It's going to be a double kill.
And Gen.G will indeed take that #1 seed going into our main stage at BlizzCon.
Yes, ever since the mid-season brawl this year, even Gold Club World Championship last year, we have been waiting to see, can Dignitas and Gen.G make it all the way to the grand finals? And they are on their way. They just have 2 rounds before they can meet again. Dignitas, though, even beyond that, ended up being the stronger of the 2 teams, and that's not something I expected, Tetcher.
They did. Dignitas have not dropped a single map at the Western Clash, and they have not dropped a single map here. A couple teams came close, but the fact is, like you said, they look stronger than Gen.G coming out of the groups, and that is huge to say. Considering Dignitas are right now a huge team for EU, they came so close at mid-season brawl, and this is the last tournament for JPL. There is a lot of belief behind this team right now.
And Skimmy, though we look at North America and China as underdogs of sorts, maybe not necessarily in one of the matches, they brought their own style, and that's the reason why they've been able to make it so far.
Yeah, definitely Tempo Storm have really carried on the tradition that they did during the league play with some quirky picks, some interesting strats. We haven't really seen the depth so far of what they have in preparation for the finals. They've showcased, you know, the same old. It's been recycled across the board when it comes through to the group stages. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Tempo Storm have for a North American crowd. But Heroes Hearth, as you guys have already echoed so far, they are the big dark horse favorites here if you are a North American fan compared to the hype that I'm sure Wolf wants to be with Miracle's career.
Well, after a grueling group stage, here is what we have come to. The 8 best Heroes of the Storm teams in the world have been seeded according to their group stage results into a high-stakes single elimination bracket. Best of 3s all day today, best of 5s from there on out. So let's start breaking down these first 4 matches of the tournament, the 4 matches that we'll see today. And I'm looking all the way at the bottom, Wolf, because Korea has to eliminate another Korean team. And though Miracle did better in the group stage than Tempest, this is maybe the best outcome that Tempest could have hoped for.
That's right, because as you allude to, Tempest is great at team fighting. They're great at dealing with compositions they have experienced in their own region in Korea. So when you look at that match 4 there, even though Miracle had the better results and Tempest were stumped by Dignitas. They were stumped by Heroes Hearth. You have to think this is their best opportunity to get out of the round of 8 against a Korean team. It sounds ironic, but that's the style they're familiar with. They've beaten Miracle already twice in Phase 2 in regular league play. They have that winning record. They come in as 2nd seed, not 3rd. But I think the next step is going to be whoever wins that, does Dignitas fall there? Because the dream of Gen.G and Dignitas, the rematch in the finals, could end there if Dignitas can't win against whichever Korean team prevails.
And speaking of Team Dignitas, this is the round they lost in last year in 2 NA versus EU hype matches, the matchup that we love to see, but I would not want to be the team standing between Team Dignitas and anything other than the Grand Finals toucher.
Completely agreed. In this single elimination format, you want to avoid those big teams for as long as possible. And Dignitas, there is no question about it, they are one of those big teams. So it doesn't matter. Tempest, Dignitas have already beaten them. Miracle, they haven't actually had a chance to play them yet, I believe, but it's still gotta be scary going up against the Titan that is Dignitas.
And our second match on the schedule today is a fan favorite, to be sure, Skimmy. Team Liquid versus Heroes Hearth Esports. I know everyone can't wait for that match. That's not as cut and dry as Team Dignitas and Tempo Storm.
Yeah, nowhere near. I mean, these guys have both been going toe-to-toe when it's been coming to the bracket stage. So I think that's not, it's not an easy one to call by any stretch of the imagination. Not for a fan, not for us as analysts, not even for the players. They're coming into this one with preparation. They haven't really showcased too much necessarily in the group stages. So there's a lot of safety and safe picks. A lot of this is really relying on BlizzCon now. So I think that definitely, if you have one series to watch in particular, that would be the one I'll be putting my money on.
Well, our first match promises to be explosive, as China's sole remaining hope brings the fight to the current world champion.
这是我们第一次来到暴雪嘉年华，我们之前去过台湾、瑞典、韩国，那边观众也是非常热情，但是对于我们之前来说缺乏经验，然后会给我们一些紧张、一些压力，然后会打得不好，但是我们已经克服掉这些情况了，现在非常享受这种环境、这种状态。 我们已经做好准备来迎接暴雪嘉年华。我们下一场对上根基，我们得用1000%的实力去来对付根基，看根基非常强。如果我们能够拿到第1，赢得这笔奖金的话，我想去和我女朋友去看北极熊。
오프닝 위크 때 저희가 조금 이제 리퀴드한테 한 번을 지면서 약간 불안했었어요. 근데 미라클 상대로는 저희가 이제 그 전날 연습하면서 많이 깨우침을 얻어가지고 미라클 상대로는 이제 2대0 할 수 있다 생각하고 무조건 1등 진출을 생각하고 있었어요. 비조에서 더원이 이제 디그를 제외하고 아마 전부 다 1대1로 올라온 걸로 알고 있어요. 그래서 저희도 방심하지 않고 그냥 열심히 잘하면은 1대1 안 나오고 그냥 2대0으로 이길 수 있지 않을까 싶어요.
Ladies and gentlemen, give me your energy, welcoming the hopes and dreams from China for the first time on the BlizzCon stage. In the red corner, TheOne! And over in the blue corner, you know them, the reigning global champions, mid-season brawl winners, and last year's BlizzCon from Korea, Gen.G! Captains, please come center stage and shake hands. I'm speaking to you, Captain. Center stage, please. Come on. Don't be shy. All right, guys, may the best team win. Gillyweed, we got a match on our hands. Take it away.
Oh, yes, we do. I'd be scared of Gen.G too. The way you're going to read out a scroll, a laundry list of all of the results that they've had. Gold Club World Championship last year. They're the only HGC champions yet. We'll find out if they keep going this year. But yeah, they've won a few things, Wolf.
Yeah, they have 10 Premier titles. If you think all the way back to the MVP Black days back in 2015, they started winning titles there. Then going into 2016 across the board, they had that massive win streak. The core of that MVP Black roster is still holding this roster together today. And these guys, their opponents here in the one, have a massive, tall task ahead of themselves here. I think they are the ones who are going to be thankful this is a best of 3. Maybe if they could just sneak 2 wins away, we could have a biggest upset in BlizzCon history on our hands here.
Yeah, Tetcher, the one made it here because they stuck to their own style. They stuck to what worked for them.
Exactly. They came in to HGC at the beginning of last year, and they've always had this sort of aggressive style that has just slowly evolved and has just become more and more refined. It's almost classic China, but with its own twist on it, and that is what they've stuck with. They've not adjusted to tournament meta that much because they know what works for them.
Yeah, speaking of that though, Tetra, it's always a bit of a raising concern about, we talk about what works for you, but then where's the depth in that roster? You know, how many heroes are they proficient at? They've showcased that they have a lot of heroes in particular that they like to play, but then when you're up against Gen.G that have played some very safe picks, they've definitely stuck to what works for them without revealing too much and just trying to take away as much RNG as possible from this, you know, matchup against any opponent. We don't want to show anything. We believe we are, we know we are, quite honestly, better than you mechanically, macro-orientated. So why do we need to play flashy heroes and execute when we want to save that for semi-finals day 2?
Right. Gen.G, though, did show some adaptation when they finally faced Miracle. And we know that that was a very important match for them. Miracle had defeated them in Phase 2, and they wanted to make sure they had to win that match in order to top the group, which ensures that you avoid Team Dignitas. So they did show some drafting adaptations, which, do you give that then to Noblesse?
I definitely would give a little bit of an edge to Noblesse, but I'd also talk about Rich, because the Alarak that we've been seeing come through, which failed against Team Liquid, but then found success against Miracle, has been something they are using and liking a lot, where they're looking for this blow-up style. You find a single target, you eliminate them in an instant with all the CC that's provided there with the Alarak. So that's one of the big picks that they adapted to towards the end of the group stage. But one of the picks that I think everyone should look forward to and look out for in draft is the Sergeant Hammer pick, the Protect the Hammer, the slow grind, the slow burn of those structures, controlling BOE, for example. That's where Gen.G has shown stylistically they like to play safe, as Skimmy was alluding to.
And it's always been such a pocket pick, especially in that last spot. If you are going for the map pick, then you get that last ability just to say, hey, they've got these picks, we have this comp, we can flex this and we can go for it.
Well, some of the things that they could be keeping in mind, or the one could see, is things like Kerrigan bans, or maybe even the Tyrael, because that will help protect the hammer even better. So let's see if that happens. We're ready to get into our Battleground pool for the first best of 3 of the HGC Finals at BlizzCon. We've got bans on Braxis Holdout, very consistent for Gen.G, what we know from them. Same with the one. They've been banning Tomb all tournament long, though I want to get to a talk about that because that does leave open Dragonshire, which may be a concern later. But we're starting on Battlefield of Eternity. This is the one's choice. What do you make of this, Tetcher?
This is a team fight map. It's where they can get blow-ups, and it's going to give Hugo a lot of freedom in that top lane to see if they can maybe execute their high blow-up style without getting caught out and out-macroed, which is, of course, going to be their biggest fear against Gen.G.
But Battlefield of Eternity versus Gen.G.
Yeah. You've taken Battlefield of Eternity versus Gen.G, and that also means that Gen.G will have first pick, right? So that's the biggest concern is, where does Hanzo lie in this draft? You've got to remove the Hanzo in first rotation. If you leave that alone, Gen.G never loses with this composition ever, no matter what stage we're talking about, whether it's league play, whether it's mid-season brawl, whether it's BlizzCon. So you've taken a massive risk. Sure, it plays to your style, but it plays to your opponent's style, I would argue, even better.
This should be acceptable, though, to ban out that Hanzo, though, for the one. Their main Hanzo player usually was Keshi. He's the player who couldn't make it to this event. And Melody C, he is incredibly flexible. He can play basically anything. He's a big reason their hero pool can even keep up with some of the other teams here. But he isn't a main Hanzo, he is a more flexible player. So banning it out against Gen.G might be a very solid strat.
I think an interesting talking point here on the desk is the fact that every time Gen.G have had first pick on a map like Battlefield of Eternity, they've never picked the Sergeant Hammer. They've always saved it for that final pick, that final rotation. So we talk about safety, we talk about the ability to defend and, you know, almost welcome the aggression that is very calculated and very predictable from the one. But if you don't have that surprise factor, that surprise element, I feel like Gen.G go a different route.
Yeah, I think that...
Wow.
Okay, we're going to see that throw removed.
Yeah.
That's interesting because Gen.G played that both times they played on Battlefield of Eternity, but a change-up, no, nonetheless.
Yeah, I think that for the one now, it's a question of what are you most concerned about? You know that Gen.G is a threat for first pick if you do take the Hanzo away. So I think we will see both Shimada brothers removed here. You cannot allow one of the fastest clearing heroes in the game on this map, one of the best teams on this map, to have that ability to just rush it down.
Let it happen.
Let it happen.
They've gone for the standard league play bans of the Maiev and the Gen.G, trying to remove that big blow-up potential and that big wombo turn the game potential.
But it does at least leave up Tyrande, who hasn't been able to make it through. So maybe Tyrande can help the one race down against that Hanzo. Would that be enough, Wolf?
Well, I mean, it is ZJZ's most picked support throughout this tournament. Obviously, highest involvement support in this tournament as well. So it's a common pick, but he's got a good win rate on it. It is going to be helpful here. Well, my concern is more rather not the racing speed that Tyrande will give, but actually how do you kill this Hanzo? Because you will not be able to win that race. You actually have to find some way to dive and kill the Hanzo. The Nubrak will certainly help, but let's see what else they're going to bring to the table.
This definitely seems to be the style they are going for. This is why they have let the Hanzo through. When you're against a Maiev, she has unstoppable frames where she can use that Vault of the Wardens. Gen.G is hyper-mobile. Hanzo's kind of mobile, but he is also incredibly squishy. This is the idea behind the one's execution here, but it's tough to play against.
The Medivh ban is very, very interesting here. This suggests to me that the one are considering playing the Sergeant Hammer. We've seen how influential that Medivh can be, just allowing you to jump on towards a target and get that kill. It really patches the weakness that Garrosh has. He has no mobility. He has to get in range. He has to hit that Groundbreaker, and then he can get his full combo off. So the Medivh is a heads-up ban that we've seen Gen.G find a lot of success with, and has been very good at making Sergeant Hammer work.
There's also Tyrande and a Nubrak, signifying that possibly the one are wanting to try to blow someone up very quickly because they have all that stun lock and dive. And Medivh with Force of Will can throw a wrench in the plans, as can the portals.
Exactly, both of those are very valid points here, especially that I like the idea of the hammer here. Now you've got even more protection for it, the Tyrael for extra shielding, a Greymane to add some immortal race of their own, but the BEFG could still come in for hammer to follow up on this burst comp if that's what they're doing.
This feels like very old China, actually, with the Greymane Tyrael on this map.
Right?
We're just missing the Ufa.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrael always comes up with this Greymane pick on BOE, so they're basically trying to, instead of doing what everyone would expect and try to straight dive the Hanzo, they take a more all-around approach because this does have dive, this does have burst potential, but it's also a sustainable composition. And, you know, it's going to be very strong against the Hanzo pick if executed correctly.
Blaze and Garrosh, though, into the fray and bunker. Extra layers of protection to assist Deckard here in keeping that Hanzo alive, making it much more difficult for the one to execute unless they can get an incredibly fast blow-up. And Greymane is good for this, but extra damage is definitely going to be needed, and this will be their last pick.
See, when I watched China in a noob versus Blaze, there was a lot of Cocoon on the Blaze, but with the prevalence of new habits in Korea, I don't know if they're going to be able to get that executed. And Hugo's Malthael, this feels so old school China, which with some of the new comfort picks like Hugo's Malthael, but versus classic Gen.G at the same time. Resets Li Ming. I'm so pumped for this draft.
They have run almost this exact combo before, going with a Tyrande for main set, blow up, and then any tank, and then running Greymane Cursed Bullet and the Malthael last right, and basically just try and isolate someone with the tanks and blow up someone else as quick as possible. This is the idea behind this draft.
Give me thoughts.
My main concern is that the burden of execution is fully on the one. They have to make sure that they find kills within these big blow-up instances. If that Lunar Flare lands and nothing happens, Gen.G will win. They'll control, they'll back away, they'll go for the Immortal, and they'll just win on that basis. So I'm really concerned for the one, thinking this is a map that, yeah, you're great at, but so are Gen.G. They've got the Hanzo, they've built around it, they've got to protect the Hanzo composition, and it's Rich, arguably the best player in the world.
Yeah, Wolf, Gen.G has everything they could ever want from this draft.
They certainly do. They've got the Blaze that's got that extra protection, and that's stylistically been where Kyocha has gone, is for the Urel, for the Blaze, the safer solo laners, where the Malthaels are coming out from China, North America, looking for that extra damage here. It's all about the engage. The sustainability of damage is absolutely Gen.G's here. The Li Ming is there for breaking the cocoon, for safe poke on the Immortals.
Right.
How do you ever lose the objective with this composition? I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's either way, it's going to be a good one. Let's get into a Battlefield of Eternity for Game 1 between The One and Gen.G.
That it is. We are getting ready. And Wolf, I have been waiting about 7 years to say these words. BlizzCon, who's ready for the first game of the HGC Finals? I've wanted to say that for so long.
Well, you're here, man. We're all here together at this amazing top 8. And this is going to be a very, very difficult match for TheOne, going up against defending champions, the mid-season brawl champions, the elites that are Gen.G. They are on the blue side. We're going to go ahead and introduce them first as they get ready. Coming out of the Hall of Swords, it's Sake on Deckard Cain, Kyocha on Blaze, Rich on his Hanzo, Reset on Li Ming, namesake fitting here, Tist on the Garrosh. Ladies and gentlemen, your defending champions, Gen.G.
And on the right-hand side, representing China, ZJZ on the Tyrande. Meng is playing the Greymane. Hugo has his Malthael, a classic. He on the Anubarak. And Lies is playing the Tyrael. They are the one!
Underdogs, to be sure, but they have a composition that, if executed correctly, certainly can get single eliminations, which can then lead to the Immortal going their way. Gen.G, you could tell they respect this composition in terms of positioning here. All of them are spaced out behind the gate, and we are actually going to see what looks like a bit of a lane swap here. In the top lane, Gen.G actually has Li Ming up there, hidden with Deckard, so they're going to look to actually push that one in quite a bit, as TheOne continues to hide, hoping that Gen.G would step over their boundaries in the middle of the map.
That is the plan, but either way, it looks like Hugo is playing a little bit safer as TheOne are beginning to move in. Tist is in position though, he's able to spot that Anubarak and back up with Rich, already playing safe enough to not get himself caught out of position.
Yeah, looks like the rotation that we saw from Sake up there with Reset was actually just to potentially deal with an invade from TheOne that never came. They're not actually going to commit to a heavier lane swap. This is the kind of invade I was talking about. They were there, prepared to counter it, but Kyocha, he's caught. He has to go for the stun.
Good. They're trying to lock him down. Hugo with the dive, Anubarak with the burrow charge, and TheOne pick up first blood.
And what a disastrous situation for Gen.G here. They were prepared for this scenario, but only a few seconds before, when it didn't come, they rotated Sake down, they rotated Reset back down, and that's when tragedy struck as TheOne came through, hiding, not showing vision. The trade-off here, however, is that Rich clears this wave very quickly, and they do have those Siege Giant, or rather Impaler Cap, to push the bottom lane. So sure, they get a single kill, but they do lose a little bit of damage.
And Lies is down here. Tyrael is okay in the solo lane, but only when he has minions. The idea of him is he freezes the lane and holds it as they're trying to turn around this engage onto Tist, trying to finish him off. The damage is good, but the tankiness of Tist completely shuts down this attempt.
Really nicely done by Sake as well to look for the root there in turret range so that TheOne was going to take maximum damage there. It worked well because the minion wave was pushed, as you say. It ends up being a fairly good trade for TheOne either way. So up, in that top lane, the matchup has kind of slowed down. We're not seeing that aggressive rotation. Instead, it's going to be TheOne taking their Bruiser Cap. They're going to lead that charge and look for control of the lane before the first Immortal phase.
That is the attempt. Fallen Shamans being picked up by both teams for the extra pressure onto the lanes. Blaze and Malthael still chilling up there as Li Ming has taken the position of Rich in the bot lane for the moment. Reset just here for the XP and to clear out the lane. Once again, Lies. He does have the extra protection, but it all is good at holding the lane still, especially once his own minions arrived where he can shield them.
Indeed. So it's just quite a unique composition that we saw exclusively in China in 2016, where you actually have a DPS player flex over to the Tyrael. And let's see how former Melody C does here on this roster, as he is put in a position he's never really played before in the DPS role for a long time. But dealing with this Hanzo is going to be TheOne's biggest challenge, is getting on top of Rich, as he does take a passive position right now.
Yeah. He's waiting for his moment, biding his time. For now, though, Hugo pushes up top a little bit. Tyrael also in the bot lane. Lies clearing out the other Fallen Shaman camp. Both these teams waiting for their chance.
Tist is grabbing some more stacks here. One by one, he's already got 7 on that Groundbreaker talent at level 1. And now Rich gets into position for the first time. He's able to just do free damage on this Immortal. This is the nightmare scenario for TheOne, and time is ticking here. This is going to be free halftime. They actually have to go now.
They're moving in. Tist is going to be the target, but quick, indomitable. They're going to try and turn this round onto Hehe, but he's tanking through it from now, but he's dropped low.
Yep, unable to mount, so he will have to retreat. But this is going to be a very heavily shielded Immortal for Gen.G. They've got one more shot to go for the invade, but he is just too low on health. I don't think this can work.
They're trying, though. They're moving forward, looking for Blaze. Trying to look out for Blaze with the big double stun turnaround. And it's going to be a full retreat for TheOne. But can they get out of here? Tist is chasing them down. Hugo took a chunk of shield off, but that is still a really strong immortal for Gen.G.
Yeah, I do like that you mentioned that Hugo got that, and that's part of the Malthael value here, but also they had a quick rotation to the bot lane, so they got the wave cleared faster. That's going to force Kocha to come down here and react. And it does give them the slightest experience lead. So small victories here on the side of the one. In terms of Immortal defense, they do have that Tyrande, which is still quite powerful. Also Greymane, incredible damage. But they want to go more than just defend. They want to actually attack.
They were thinking about it, but luckily Tist was guarding the area just too well. Lies gets a bit of harassment onto Rich, the zoning Immortal in this case. Being a bit of a pain. ZJ said tossed in, and he's but a poor Tyrande. Down he goes.
And that's going to be the first reset here for Reset. Lies in trouble. There's the toss. He gets in. There's the stun.
Lies able to dodge it. He's being chased down though. Hugo coming in with the body block. Also blocking as well. It's going to be Hugo who goes down. He with one last chance to escape, but Rich says absolutely not.
And it's a huge, huge dive past the fort here. It only takes one reset and a toss in there in order to set up that second kill. So Gen.G takes a massive lead with this. And we saw how desperate the one was to look for engages. And it's not a fault of the composition. It's more so that Gen.G played safe, played passive there, and the one had to take that engage. If they didn't, they were going to take very likely more damage than they already did here, but it backfired, and Deckard Cain is so good at peeling against these heavy engages.
Tist's positioning has just been so good to shut down so many attempts of the one. He is a big reason that Gen.G are able to have this full level lead as they hover around this Impaler cam. Looks like they're just going to let it go over to the one here after dropping a bit of harassment.
Says Rich, I love you. That sign there. I think everybody does. You're not alone.
This is true. They're pulling back now, the one. Don't want to get themselves caught out. Again, the speed boost from Lies, making sure that they are able to escape nice and clean, but Groundbreaker, that Warbringer level 1 talent has been completed.
This is such a good position for the one, actually, if they could just slow this down, because they're getting extra experience in that top lane to catch up. The big concern will be if the fort actually does go down. That's why Hehe is at the back here looking for that flank to try to prevent Gen.G from getting this for free. He's threatening them, scouted, however, by this arrow.
More scatter arrows for harassment as well. Vision is acquired, like you said.
Full commitment.
Hugo has arrived. They're beginning to move forward. Just taking a little bit of damage. There's no level 10s available for Gen.G yet. This is the one's timing they're trying to make. But the pullback from Gen.G shuts that down completely.
Such a good rotation here from Gen.G. Tist always in the right spot. That was a tiny window. There was a very, very small time slot there for the one to actually take that fight with the positional advantage there from Hehe, but they couldn't actually make it happen because Gen.G sniffed it out. However, again, small victories for the one. They keep that fort alive. That's going to be something that they could fall back to during this next Immortal phase. Engaging into this, however, is just simply not an option with 10s available across the board.
And everyone is locked in except for Deckard Cain. We're going with the Disintegrate from Li Ming to try and shut down that potential Cocoon play before it even starts. But Gen.G already with a huge lead. The one not even attempting to get onto the defense here as they need that level 10.
The 10s for Deckard both are viable. The Lordnado can grab an overextended Hehe here on the Nubrok, and obviously you have Stay a While Listen that can set up a massive engage with resets for Reset himself. It's always fun to cast this guy when he's playing Li Ming, not just because it's a goofy name, but because it's actually going to end up providing us some exciting highlight moments, no doubt. So full shielded Immortal, the one, unfortunately, you could see that tiny piece that's missing in the experience bar for 10 is the saddest thing you're ever going to see if you're a Chinese Heroes fan. But it's just they get it too late.
They now have level 10. Now you can see reactions here where a team will want to dive past the Immortal. The one are known to do this. We could see this as an attempt by them. Right now might be the best time. Blaze is not yet here with the rest of Gen.G as the one. Looks like they're happy to sacrifice the initial fort and just begin their defense at the keep wall.
Yeah, that's, I think, the wisest choice they can make at this stage. Go for the throat, actually, over the Cursed Bullet. So we're probably not going to see that attempt to kill Tist. It's actually going to be more so trying to threaten Sake and also threaten Reset when he's going for these aggressive, risky flanks. But they're running out of space here, you know. There's patience, and then there's just waiting too long.
Malthael is also waiting a really long time for his hero because they're beginning to creep forward. Dragon Arrow lands on 3 members. Stay a while. Elizabeth sank, shots it down. Tormented Souls in the back. backline.
And it looks like Reset is totally safe here. The bunker keeping everyone up and alive. We see the Cocoon committed here. No one's dead yet for the one.
Go for Kyocha. They're going to pick him up. The one trade 1-for-1. But Hugo with the cube is going to get taken out.
And this is not looking good for the one. This means they can actually dive further. The Immortal will go down here. We see that Lies does look for an engage. Reset.
Keeps alive.
Does avoid that Lunar.
Teleport.
Yeah, that was really well done.
Holding it together, Meng trying to clear the minions as best as he can with the Gilnean cocktail. And finally, Gen.G are going to back up, trading effectively and able to massively weaken that keep.
Yeah. Again, you know, it could be worse, I think is the theme for the one here. A lot of teams have fallen to Gen.G on this map with the first Immortal, right? They've lived through much more than that. They've kept their structures alive when they were being threatened. First the fort, then the keep. Now they're going to look for potentially a mistake here in rotation for Gen.G. Gen.G, unfortunately for them though, nowhere to be seen. They're heading towards the top, staying together, knowing that they have that talent advantage, they have the structure lead. There's no reason to look for a pick, look for an invade when you already have every advantage in the book.
Exactly, they are so far ahead at this point. The one, it is definitely a surmountable deficit, but they're having to pull back. You can see they're playing safe here because Gen.G with that talent advantage, once they are grouped up, they can make stuff happen. Although Hanzo is currently not here. He is taking care of this Impaler camp in the top lane.
Yeah. He did have that wave before he started this to know that no one from the one was rotating up, so had that vision advantage. Taking small risks. Kyocha, nice charge out there.
So quick reactions from Kyocha there. The second he saw Lies, he knew he might be in trouble and was able to escape without getting body blocked from either the Burrow Charge or the Eldurance.
Now, this is the last chance for the one, I feel, Tetcher. If they lose this Immortal, especially if it's fully shielded, as we've been seeing, that's game over. They're not going to live through that.
I am with you here. They are in serious trouble, but Tist is still zoning them so hard. It's incredible play on this Garrosh here, but Reset eats the Eldurance. He is slowed. Are they going to try and dive with this?
Hugo is still in the top lane. They're trying to look for 13 first, but I just don't think they have the time. I think they have to go before it. Already halftime is over. 13 still not granted yet for the one. If they think they can take a fight with 13 with the full shield Immortal, I think it's going to be a mistake on the defense. They need to take it first. It has to be now.
Hugo has arrived. He's on a pale horse, so they're going to try and move in here. The Owl spots that Rich is trying to do this. A big wraparound play is happening from Lies now.
Hey, this is going to be very risky if they're going to try to commit to killing Reset in the backline. And see, this is what I'm talking about. Even though they have a positional advantage now, it's too late. It's too late.
They're creeping forward, but the Immortal is dropping down to 3,000 hit points. They try to rush Tist, but he completely shuts them down once again with Indomitable.
And this Li Ming pick is so great when you have this advantage. You can just toss in your abilities and eventually finish this off. We're only looking at 1,700 hit points left here for the one's Immortal. They are zoning as best as they can, but if they continue to commit this far, they're actually going to start losing Soak in that top lane. You can see that Reset has actually already gone up there to deal with this problem. If he clears it, he can even get orbs across this wall to finish off that Immortal.
That's exactly what he's doing with Oil already down for Vision. A quick combo coming in from Reset, and that is a basically full shield Immortal currently about to wreak havoc on the one's base. What's left of it?
And Tetra, does this work? I mean, the 13, they have it now. They wanted to take, they decided rather than taking a 12 versus 13 fight, on the Immortal to prevent the full shields, they want to take a 13 fight against the full shield Immortal while their keep is under attack, under assault here at range for the beginning. And does the risk pay off here? I don't think it will, but the one is going to have to convince us otherwise here. It's going to have to take a good flank. Look at how far back Rich is.
He's waiting so long, he's ready for that Dragon Arrow here as the response to any engage by the one. But right now, he is zoning at Gen.G pretty effectively.
Oh!
Dragon Arrow from the side into the Immortal stun!
He comboed it there, the fake. A little bit premature here, but they're looking for Kyocha. They're looking for the blow-up. It is too sustainable.
The bunker was held. They're able to keep it together. Cocoon is blown up by Li Ming, but his Immortal Shield is gone. Gen.G trying to move in for the key.
Really well played here from Gen.G thus far.
Hey, whoa!
And this is going to be the big combo. Look at Reset. Here's one. And he's going to look for the second one here. Everyone's got to get out. There's the second kill.
Hugo is gone. He tries to inevitable edge, but he can't hold it together. Live finished off. No, he gets away.
He barely does, but this core is going to go down, Tetcher. It's going to be a massive advantage, or rather a massive victory here for Gen.G. Meng goes down. He's going to be the last to fall as Gen.G will take game one, a dominant performance from the defending champions.
Level 16 to 13, very solid performance. 9 kills to 2 at the end there. And Gen.G able to show why they are the returning champions and begin to put doubts on TheOne, making it into round number 2.
Such a dominant, composition here. It's the comp they run all the time. The risk of picking this map fails. It falls flat on its face when you try to run this old style we saw from E-Star back in the day. This is not something that is new to China by any means, but it's outdated. And Gen.G just absolutely crushes. The sickest part for me of that game was Rich understanding the circles of the stuns of the Immortal in that final push to combo his arrow into them afterwards. It's a next level play. He maximized the distance to get the maximum stun. And it was just very clean from start to finish.
You know, if he wants to take his girlfriend to see polar bears, I'm gonna need TheOne to start acting like polar bears, because there was a lot of hesitation in that game from TheOne, Skimmy.
I mean, that was my biggest concern going into this draft, that they have a composition that requires so much coordination. And every single team we talked to that said Anubrek is a pick that you need to all be on the same page for. When you saw that, he went in, the staying while listed onto the remaining 4 in the back line, their zone. They can't get in. Those defensive cooldowns, those abilities to try and set up kills weren't as accessible and weren't as easy as they would have liked. And I mean, once again, it really runs back to my original point of when we started off this draft was you've taken Gen.G to a map they're familiar with, you've given them the Hanzo, and now you've got a composition which requires you to be mechanically better than Gen.G. Like, I just do not see a world in which that happens.
You have a replay to show us?
We do indeed. So it's going to be the final replay, or the final moment here, actually, as we go into the keep. We're just going to look to see exactly how much value they can find here with the stay and while listen. So if we pause as soon as this lands, this is what I'm talking about. Sake is landing back-to-back. He did it in the keep in the bottom lane, and just everybody is locked in place right here. You've got Hugo obviously going for the Tormented Souls. He wants to try and make sure that he can find some value rather than going for the last rights into a bunker. And as we run it forward, you're just going to see that Reset has a field day. Kyocha connects in there with the stun, there's the taunt, there's all the fun. You're dead, you're gone. And if you've got any form of counter engage, which bear in mind, let's just pause one more time. Look what they have left. Starfall's gone, Sanctification's gone, Cocoon's gone. Those are your big setup tools. So right now, you're fully reliant on the go for the throat, but somebody needs to be low. Who is low in Gen.G right now? Nobody. If you had a chance, well, they're all in that bunker. So it's not looking too good. So if we roll this clip forward now, you'll see that they all hop into the bunker. People to get displaced all over the show as Hugo takes a lot of damage to the face and eventually falls on down. But it's one of those situations, right, where you're going towards the end, you've got to take that team fight, and you saw why Rich was postured so far back, because you realized that the only win condition that TheOne had was for a flank. And with a composition like that with Tyrell and Anubrek, that was literally their only option.
Look, you've picked Battlefield of Eternity versus Gen.G. First of all, you don't want to fall behind versus Gen.G on any map regardless, but if you do, you have to be willing to take those sub-talent tier fights, Wolf, like the one you guys were talking about at 13.
Yeah.
Because you've got Sanctification, it's time to blow someone up, and you could see the difference in experience. I almost felt like maybe some of TheOne were nervous because Elias, he was out in front, he was like, guys, let's go. Whereas other people were stalling behind.
Sure, that was, I think, the biggest moment for me that is going to speak to the rest of the series, is just not being willing to commit there. Then further in that last fight, waiting for an engage from Gen.G, using Sanctification way too earlier, as Skimmy was pointing out in that replay. They didn't have any of the tools that they needed to engage. They were trying to play reactively with a comp that has to be proactive. And that's a big problem, especially against Hanzo. You can't pick this map, then give Rich Hanzo and expect anything different.
Well, we're going to get into game 2 and see if TheOne can bring it back right after a quick word from our sponsors.
The 2018 HGC Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Corsair, T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, and NVIDIA.